Hello everyone and welcome to another Ventuz tutorial. This tutorial is based on a request from one of our subscribers, Kamalus X, and he was asking about 3-4 weeks ago if we can do a tutorial like water is falling down and if I put my hand inside then it bounces off. And what I achieved, you can see here behind me, this is exactly what I want to show you now, how you can achieve this with Ventuz. Let's jump right in. So let me quickly take myself off here. Okay, and also switch here to the logic view. As you can see, I'm using Ventuz 8 here now, or from now on basically. So let me show you how that works. I will start a new scene, and obviously we will do that with a particle system. So let me drop in here a simple particle system, and then we have to add here some modules. I will use a source, and I will use a sprite, and then we can see already something is happening here. So first step I did, I increase here the random position that it covers my whole screen to something like 60. That's okay. Then I also have to change my speed y to -1 because water is falling down, right? And then also let's put an axis on top of here. And let's just move that whole particle system somewhere up here. That's okay. Okay, then let's also increase a little bit the lifetime to maybe 5. And I think that's good for now. Maybe we also can increase the particle count, the rate, maybe to 10,000. Exactly. Okay, so now I add a little bit gravity, right? And then I use here that directional gravity. I put it here in front, and I increase the gravity in y to -10. And maybe let's reduce it to -5. Yes, okay, cool. So next step, I want to add some color because water is mostly not white. So let's add here a gradient. Let's put that guy here. And let's change simply that 1D gradient to something what we have here by default already, bluish. And let's adjust that a bit to also here not white. Let's adjust it here a little bit to something bluish. Yeah, maybe like this. Okay, happy with that. And then next thing what we have to do, so this is, of course, we can add here many things now, we can add here, for example, some noise or some wobble. Let's bring in here some wobble. Exactly. So let's maybe reduce that whole thing a little bit to maybe like this. Okay, so now we have a kind of a waterfall, right? Next step, what we have to do, we basically want to do this interaction now, right? So if I go inside with my mouse or on a touch screen or with Opti2 or whatever, then we want that the water is basically bouncing off. So to do that, I have to put that whole thing into a simulation loop first. Then he is complaining about in a simulation loop, color alpha attribute must be overwritten. So we do that down here, right? Simply change from default to override. And then the next thing, what we have to bring in here is basically interactive part, right? And we will use here our collision shape, exactly. So let's bring that in here, bring that here in front. And if we bring that into the simulation loop, then you can't see the particles. And I tell you why, because by default, that collision shape is basically a plane, which is now on top here and is killing all the particles, right? So let's change that to a sphere, right? And now we can see it's somewhere over here. Next thing, what we have to do, I want to be able to basically to control, to move, to interact with that sphere, right? So I want to bind this sphere to my mouse pointer, right? Or later on touch point. To do that, we simply go here to transform and we say here to anchor. And if we want to use anchor, we have to create an anchor. So let's put here an anchor. Let's go back here to our particle system. And then we simply drag and drop this anchor property to our anchor here. If I put an axis in front of here now, then we basically can interact directly here with our sphere, right? So this is already kind of what we want to have, at least the basics. So let's bind this now to the mouse. To do that, it's very simple. Let's delete the axis and we simply use a ripple node. Let's put that ripple here in front. And as you probably know already, that ripple node is now controlling my anchor, right? So let's delete this guys. We don't need that. I also can remove here that other 4 touch points. If you want to have multiple touches, then keep it, of course. And now we can control here our sphere, right? So let's make some minor or bigger adjustments to our collision shape, right? Because now it's by default killing in the killing mode, right? So I don't want to have it in the killing mode. I want to have it in the bounce mode, right? And now you can see already that looks much more nicer, right? And now the next thing what we have to do, we simply will adjust here a little bit our sphere. I want to make it wider. Let's make it 5.5. Yes, something like that. Not bad. And I also want to change here the behavior, right? So it's a little bit too much bouncing off here, right? So let's bring that down to 0.2 maybe, right? Yeah, that's okay. But now you can see the friction is still too strong, right? Because that friction is really holding our water drops on it, and we don't want it. So let's bring that friction down to 0.05. Exactly. And here we have now already our base waterfall, right? Similar what I showed you before at the beginning. Of course, now we can tweak that with more noise, with colors, can add more particles, add more gravity. So I will simply do that quickly. Let's say here our gravity should be stronger. So let's make it -10. Now we can see the water is going much more faster. Of course, now maybe we also can reduce the lifetime because that costs basically performance, right? So if the particle is still alive, even if they are out of our frame here. So let's go here to the source and simply reduce lifetime maybe to 3. I think that should still work exactly. Then we can increase maybe from 10,000 to 25,000. And yes, now we have a much more denser waterfall, right? And of course, you can play with the properties here now however you want. Let's make it -5, right? And it's even faster and things like that. So this is basically it, right? So you saw it's a very simple setup. You just need a couple of modules here in the particle system. And of course, you can tweak it up to your needs however you want. One thing maybe what I want to mention, sometimes you will maybe see that it's not looking nice, that you have a kind of jitters or that you have lines, that it looks a kind of pixelated. If that happens, you simply increase here your steps per frame, right, to 2. And then you have a much more smoother particle system. Okay, guys, I hope you like this. Let me know in the comments if you have more ideas or wishes for tutorials we should do for you. And of course, like always, like and subscribe. Until then, bye bye.